What's up, Crussies? Welcome back to my channel. So today we have a movie related video. In case you guys didn't know, my channel is books and it is also movies and film. I have been taking a little bit of a break from doing movie and film content on my channel because I was just taking a mental release break. But now I am back in action and I am ready. In the time that I haven't been filming movie videos, I have been watching movies with friends on Netflix Party, which is such an amazing way to keep connected with people that you care about during this time of, not being able to really hang out with your friends and family. And so I have been doing a lot of that. Before I go into talking about all the movies that I'm going to talk about in this video, please make sure you check out all the links to petitions and donations that you can make right now during the Black Lives Matter movement and everything going on in the world, and just to generally educate yourself so you can learn more about what the Black Lives Matter movement is and everything in relation to it. So yes, this video, movies, films, chef's kiss is what I would like to be talking about. But what I'm talking about right now are all the movies that I recently watched and hated. The movies that just made me cringe, that made me disgusted, made me bored. There is one on here that was a really, really bad movie that I loved, but I hated. Like, I hated it and loved it. It was bad, but it was juicy. I don't know. It's on this list because it's still a really bad movie, but we're gonna get into it. None of these movies are in any particular order. I'm just gonna talk about them as I see fit, and I'm going to try and give you guys as much information as I can about the movie without spoiling it for you, because I don't know, there might be some of these that you really want to see and you feel like are worth seeing, so I'm gonna just, to be safe, not give you guys a bunch of spoilers. Okay, let's get into it. So the first movie on here is Rich in Love. Rich in Love is a Brazilian movie that follows a guy who is a tomato prince. His family owns tomato farms all around Brazil, and he's super, super rich, and his life is literally just being the tomato prince. So Tomato Prince's dad decides that he wants to take on an employee at his company, but he wants his son to work for the position, basically. But his son's like, I don't want to work for the position. I don't care about becoming the heir for this company. I don't care about being anything except Tomato Prince that parties and has fun. But his dad's like, I'm gonna cut you off if you don't get it together. And he decides to switch identities with his best friend slash peasant. I don't know why the word left my mind, but his best friend slash like worker. So he switches names with his best friend and they decide to go to that company as interns. And yeah, and while all of this is happening, he falls in love with this girl who is a doctor. She's an intern doctor, and they just have the most cringy, fast-paced romance. Like, the movie was just really, really weird because the doctor girl is, like I said, an intern, so she's working in the hospital, and there's this really weird doctor that keeps making moves at her, and it's really uncomfortable to watch. And then we have the guy and his best friend that are having this tension of, you work for me, but also we're best friends. How do we navigate that relationship? And then you have the best friend having a really weird relationship with a woman throughout the movie that I just feel like shouldn't have happened because of their power distance and power dynamics, but I'm not going to say who because I don't want to spoil. But when you watch a movie, you'll be able to easily tell who. I thought this movie was absolute dumpster fire, but it was very entertaining to watch. And so even though it was bad, it was really cool that I was watching this with friends so I could laugh about how horrible and cringy the movie was, because trust me, it was cringy. And the funniest part about this whole movie was the fact that there was so much red everywhere. Like, ties were red, t-shirts were red, cars were red, people's houses were full of red things. Every single scene in the movie included some giant showcase of red or some giant reminder that he is a tomato prince and this movie is about tomatoes, which again, it was super odd, but I thought that the surroundings, that seeing Brazil, it was really nice to see different areas of Brazil. I'm going to try and also mention good things about the movies I'm talking about because there are some entertaining aspects of every single movie except one of them, which I will get to. But this one, I really liked the views and seeing Brazil. I really liked looking at all of the non-red outfits. Like, there was a character in the movie, I can't remember what her name was, but I really enjoyed seeing her outfits, and I'll put a picture of what I'm talking about. Yeah, so there were certain things that were good about the movie, and it was really great that I watched this with other people, because otherwise it would have been a horrible, crusty, dusty, musty time, okay? Next, we have The Paper Year.
I love you. Oh, I love you.
Congratulations, congratulations.
This movie follows a couple who randomly decide to elope and get married, and they are pretty much the most irresponsible people on this planet. Now that I have read Cape May, which is the 800K book, I can very strongly say that this movie is pretty much like that book, where there are these people who are just getting married super fast, super young, but they are very mature and not ready to get married. The girl is, I think, a writer. She's like a film writer, a TV writer. The guy literally has no job, so that's great. He is poor and has no job. She's rich, so she at least has the excuse of like being rich. Let's get some money from our parents.
No one's ever gotten married before. We're the first people to do it.
And also, I'm a film writer or a TV writer, so like we could probably survive. But throughout the movie, the guy ends up becoming a dog walker slash house babysitter, and he starts taking care of a famous actress's home. So he and his wife move in there, and there's a lot of things that happen because she gets a job and starts canoodling with a coworker. And the way the movie just goes, it was like nothing happened, but so many things happened. It's one of those movies where after you watch it, you're kind of like, what did I just watch? What was that? And that's what this movie felt like.
I felt like I really wanted the hour and 45 minutes or whatever that I spent watching it. I wanted it back.
I would like to talk to the manager, put me on the phone with the writers, the directors, and the worst part of this was the main guy, the main actor in this movie is Beck from Victorious. And when I tell you that the best part of Victorious was the relationship between Beck and Jade, and just Jade in general and all her interactions with people, especially Beck, I am not joking. I really loved Beck's character. So seeing this movie and wondering, like, is he a good actor or is this just like a bad role? Because the acting was also really horrendous, and I don't think the movie is an old movie. I think it's fairly recent, and I'm just very confused. We just don't need a movie like this. Okay. The next movie that I have is arguably the worst movie on this list, and it is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. This movie, not a single moment of the 3 hours I spent watching this movie was enjoyable. Not a single moment. This movie was so cringy. If you don't know what it's about, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button follows a boy who is born as an old man. Like, he looks really old, like the baby is super wrinkly, and so he basically ages backwards. So he is born as a really old looking person, and then when he is about to be dead, or when he's like, as he ages, he just ages backwards. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a really weird movie. It's really strange. I felt so uncomfortable watching this movie. I watched it with a group of my friends, and that's the only thing that kept us going. We were like, okay, maybe it will get better, maybe it will get better, maybe it will get better. In hindsight, we should have just DNF'd this movie because it was so bad. Like, some of the really worst scenes were in the movie, the love interest Daisy meets Benjamin when they are about maybe like 8 or 9, and Daisy looks like a little young girl, right? But because Benjamin's aging backwards, he's literally an old man, and you're supposed to be rooting for them and wanting them to be together the entire time you're watching this movie. But it was just so weird and uncomfy to see that on the screen, because it's like, you know, this is a child, but the way he looks just makes you feel so uncomfortable. And there were so many scenes where, like, when Benjamin was getting older, like being 16 and 17, where he went away to the sea, and there were a lot of like really weirdly vulgar things going on that were just like really uncomfortable to watch. And then there was, you know, like later in the future where they're getting older and Daisy and Benjamin are together, and just seeing how their relationship evolved over the years and all the things that happened, especially when they got into their 30s, 40s, and 50s. It was just really weird seeing it on screen.
I think the movie's set in like Mississippi or Louisiana or something, so
but it was just super weird to watch this movie, and I didn't like it. It felt so weird, but I think it has something against Scott F. Fitzgerald, because after reading The Great Gatsby and also knowing that the main love interest in The Great Gatsby's name is also Daisy, and I felt like the Daisy in The Great Gatsby was exactly like the Daisy in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which makes me wonder, like, is F. Scott Fitzgerald, or whatever his name is he actually writing the exact same characters in his books, or is this just like a two-time thing? I don't know, but I thought it was such a weird movie and I just couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't. You couldn't catch me liking this movie because it made me so uncomfortable, and it made everyone watching this movie with me feel so uncomfortable. We were all just waiting for the moment the movie would get better, and it never did. It ended really weird too. Like, oh, I don't want to give away the ending, but it just ended really, really weird, and I just felt so gross and like uncomfortable after finishing it. And yeah, I can't find anything good about this movie at all. I really can't. So I hope there's someone out there who loved it, because it won so many awards. So I'm assuming there are people who love this movie, but like, who are they? Where are they? Why do they love this movie? That's all I gotta say. The next movie on here is probably not gonna surprise anyone, because I talked about it in one of my most recent videos, and I talked about it quite a lot. So you guys are probably gonna be like, oh, we saw this one coming. But the next movie is Love, Rosie. I wanted to like this movie. I wanted to enjoy it because this is actually one of my friends Val's like favorite movies, and so I was like excited to watch it because I thought, oh, best friends to lovers trope, we stand. That's one of my favorite tropes. I was super pumped, but it wasn't it. This movie follows our main character, Rosie, and I can't remember what her best friend's name is, Sam. I think the actor's name is Sam, but we're just gonna call him Sam for right now. But it follows Rosie and her best friend throughout their lives from little kids in like high school, where Rosie gets pregnant and has a baby, and it just basically follows her life as a single mother and her friendship with Sam, and over the years how they continue to miss the opportunity to be together. Different things happen over the years where they miss opportunities to be a couple. Like, for example, he goes to America to go to medical school and she stays in England because at the time she didn't want to tell him that she was pregnant, so she just was like, I'm just gonna stay in England because yeah. And he was like, okay, see you in America later. And she was like, yeah, okay, sure. And, you know, that didn't happen because she had a baby. But so it just like follows all the different things that end up going wrong. But she goes to America to visit him, and she goes to a party and they like see each other and stuff, and she thinks that she's going there to be with him, and then she finds out that he like has a partner, and his partner is, you know, they're like serious, and she's like super upset about it. And I was just kind of like, this is your best friend. You can't even be honest with her that you have someone you're dating. Like, what's the point of being best friends if you can't be honest with each other? So yeah, there were just a lot of things I didn't like about this movie, and I couldn't enjoy it. It was just too much for me. It wasn't anything I wanted. It was everything I didn't want. And yeah, didn't enjoy that one, clearly, because I've talked about it so much. But now that I've got it out, you guys can know why I didn't like this movie, and maybe I'm not alone. Hopefully I'm not alone. I know Love, Rosie is also a book, and I looked up the Goodreads reviews on this book, and it ain't good, so I'm definitely not going to read the book. We're just going to forget that Love, Rosie exists because I love the actors and actresses in this movie, so I'm just going to pretend that I never watched this film. But I did like one aspect of this movie, and that was Rosie's best friend who she met the night she went to get a pregnancy test. I absolutely adored that character. That character was so funny, so cool, so interesting. So I would definitely say the friendship aspect of Rosie meeting another woman and becoming friends with her was really cute and sweet to watch. So yeah. So the next movie that I have on here is Always Be My Maybe, which is a friends to lovers type movie that follows these two best friends who grew up together in San Francisco. And I really loved this aspect of the story because I live in the Bay Area, and everything in this movie was very, very familiar to me. I felt like I was right at home. I was like, oh my god, I know where that is, I know where that is. So that was really cool. When they were like in high school, they had a hookup and they slept together, and that kind of like changed their friendship. That, in addition to the fact that one of the main characters' parent dies, and so that kind of creates a drift between the two of them because that parent was one one of the glues that kept their friendship together at the time, because they would like go over, hang out with each other, and that parent was like a core part of their social lives. But that parent dies, and then they hook up and they start fighting, and it becomes like a big thing that makes them drift apart. And then years later, our main character, she owns a restaurant. She owns a restaurant, and she's opening a new branch in San Francisco. And so she goes back to San Francisco to open up that branch, and also to kind of like finalize her wedding details, because she's getting married. And she ends up running into our main romance lead, our main guy, because his dad, I believe, is an electrician or a plumber, one of those things, and he comes to her house to fix up some stuff. And she meets him again because he's working at his dad's company now. So his original plan, I believe, was to go to Berkeley or to go to college or something, but after his mom's death, he decides just to stay with his dad and help his dad out. There's this contrast of her like working and being like a businesswoman and being rich, and then they show him like in his parents' house smoking weed, doing nothing else. So I feel like they were trying to really communicate that he doesn't have a career or anything going for him. So that was a little bit annoying. What I kind of wanted was a kiss quotient, best friends lovers type movie, but that's not what I got at all. Like, it was really weird and I just didn't enjoy it, and there are a lot of things that made me side eye the movie, and so I ended up DNFing this movie. I was watching with one of my friends and we both were like, this is really boring and we're not enjoying it, and we feel really uncomfortable because they were making the main actors act as teenagers. I'm like, do you not have the budget to hire teenagers for a 30-second clip? So a whole chunk of what I was saying in that video disappeared, and so I'm coming back in a different background with a different outfit that you're probably going to see in like more videos in the future. But I'm just coming back to say that I thought it was really ridiculous that they couldn't find actual teenagers to act the part, and there were a lot of things that happened in the movie that I had seen that I was just not okay with. I was like, it's just racist, it's not even funny, and the movie was just way too dry for me to continue watching, and so I had to dip, and I have no regrets. I don't think I missed anything by not finishing that movie. I do not want to go back to finish that movie. And yeah, it was the last movie that I wanted to talk about in the video. So this little clip of me that doesn't fit with the rest of the video is only for like 12 seconds. So it's fine, it's Gucci, it's all good in the hood. But yeah, that movie was just, ain't it? Because I feel like for the characters in the movie and for the actors that were in the movie, they definitely had the budget to do better and they just didn't. So that's just lazy in my opinion. But yes, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any suggestions on any other movie type content you want me to do, let me know, like best movies I've seen, animes I want to watch, movies I want to watch, things like that. In case you don't know, I do a Netflix party every month on my Patreon. So if that's something you want to do with me and some other cool people, definitely join my Patreon and we can watch movies together and roast things. But thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace out. Bye.